We have made it to the halfway point of the regular season here in year number 2 with the Golden State Warriors, my NBA franchise here on NBA 2K25. And today we've got a pretty fun episode. I know you guys have been waiting for our first prospect profiles of the year. Well, today is the day. We'll be taking our first look at the 2026 NBA draft class. It is a loaded group of prospects, one of the most talented draft classes in recent memory. And I'm excited to introduce you guys to some of the more notable players who sit atop the draft board currently. Let's set the stage for where we are. We're off to an inconsistent start in January, largely because we've been banged up. But this one game against the Jazz sticks out in particular. That's because Utah's been horrible this year. They are 5-35. They were on a 24-game losing streak and snapped it by beating us. It's depressing how horrible they are. 41% from the field, by far the worst mark in the league. And let's look at the number 1 pick, Martin Sifa, for example, who's had an okay rookie year. He hasn't been bad by any stretch, but the true shooting percentage is not good. It's below 50%. That's pretty horrible. Yet his field goal percentage is the highest, qualified or unqualified, on the entire roster. That's how dire things are here. Their highest true shooting percentage, qualified or unqualified, is below league average. They don't have a single player who has been at least average in terms of efficiency. We're going to play against them twice in this episode, and I almost want to play one of those games just for the hell of it to see how bad they are. Nonetheless, we're currently in 6th place in the Western Conference, which is kind of disappointing because for most of the year we've been in 3rd, but we've slipped a little bit with the Wolves, Grizzlies, and Mavericks playing well, and the Rockets might be catching up too. They have won 8 in a row, so we've got to continue to produce in order to keep this spot out west. The East, meanwhile, nowhere near as good. We would be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. The top 7 teams in the NBA are in the West. The Celtics and Cavs are currently tied for first. They would be battling for play-in spots out west, which just goes to show how much better our conference is. And that makes it even more depressing for teams like Philadelphia, Indiana, even Detroit, to be that far low in the Eastern Conference standings. As for the numbers on the year, not a whole lot to report other than Miles Turner, who's back healthy, still can't really shoot threes. We need to get that going. He cannot shoot less than 30% from deep the second half of the year. And then Antoine Saliz, who's obviously had a great rookie year, his efficiency has gone down quite a bit throughout the month of January. So as I said earlier, this is a loaded crop of players in this class. We don't have any extra picks. We have our own first rounder. But look out for that Jazz second rounder. Since the Jazz have the worst record in the NBA, that'll probably be the 31st pick. So it's almost as if we're going to have another first rounder this year, and we'll potentially look to take advantage of that by moving up and down the board as we see fit. And of course, I want to take a look at some of these top guys because many of them are going to be the faces of our league going forward. So if you remember in last year's class, there was a lot of great international talent sitting atop the board. And I think 7 or 8 of the top 10 picks were born outside of the U.S. That's not the case this year. And while there are a few really good foreign-born players that we're going to go over today, there's a lot more American players this year at the top and a lot more guys taking the traditional route of college basketball. There's a few players who are worthy of being the number 1 pick, but I don't think it's much of a discussion right now because Everest McLeon out of Michigan looks to be that dude. First possession of this game against Cincinnati, chase down block. This is somebody who can do just about everything. He's a 6'10" forward. He can run the floor. He's a dynamic athlete who can play with his head above the rim. And might I mention, he is a exceptional 3-level scorer who can create his own shot, shoot off the dribble, shoot off the catch. There's nothing he can't do. And going into this year, he was the number 1 recruit in his high school class, and he has more than backed it up. And I think when this series is all said and done, and we look at some of the very best prospects that we've seen, Everest McLeon is probably going to be in the top 3 of that list, and he might not be 2 or 3. Now, behind him, as I said, there's a few other guys who in a normal year would be worthy of the number 1 pick, including Russian big man Silan Novikov. Look at this play right here. He misses the layup, but as you can see, grabs the rebound and shows the dominance that he brings to the table. This is somebody who is a physical force. He's an old school type of player, but he's got a new school element of his game because he can hang behind the perimeter. He can shoot the three ball a little bit. Now, I will say these grades are not accurate. You'll notice that his ratings and the position averages are all exactly the same. That would be way too strange of a coincidence to be true. His actual grades look actually somewhat similar to these, but they're not exactly the same. Now, he is an impressive three-level scorer. He can defend a bunch of positions, and at 7'1", 230, his versatility is scary. Shavonte Fitzgerald from Creighton has had a really strong freshman year. He is an instinctive offensive player who can score off the dribble. He can score without the ball in his hands. And I think his on- and off-ball versatility on that end of the floor will be a major asset for whoever drafts him. And I think right now he looks to be the consensus third overall pick behind Novikov at number 2 and obviously McLeon first. He isn't the most efficient scorer yet. He's got to improve that area of his game, but the shot-making upside is there. And the rest of his game is pretty polished overall. Next up, we have J.D. Little. He's a tiny little guy. Now, I think 5'11 is disrespectful. I think he's more like 6'1. But we're not actually going to go over him today, and there's a couple reasons for that. For one thing, I don't think he's actually going to go 4th overall. The mock drafts have him towards the middle of the first round. That feels a little bit more accurate. But there's another reason why we're going to go over him in the next prospect profile later in the year, and you guys will see why that is when we get to that episode. As we look down the board, we approach Cincinnati forward Naheem Martin. Maybe the best spot-up shooter in this class. He can pick his spots, and he's a very smart off-ball player. Now, I don't think he's got the upside to be an offensive engine, per se. This is not going to be the number one option for a championship team, but I think he's going to be a really good role player, really good glue guy, good touch around the basket, solid defensive player. Now, outside of his shooting, the rest of this game is overall pretty inconsistent, but the fact that he's got his outside shot mastered at this early in his career at only 18 years old suggests that if the rest of his game comes together, he could be a really good player. Yunter Kingsley is up next, hailing from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Georgetown University. He's a 6'10", 250-plus pound big man who is very athletic for his size. He's a true 5 who can dominate bigs, but he's got the athleticism to switch onto the perimeter. He's a good scorer from 15 feet. He's a phenomenal post defender, but what separates him from other bigs his age is his feel for the game as a playmaker. Really impressive passer for an 18-year-old center who is somewhat new to the game of basketball. A guy who I really like is Canadian forward Jamar Fofana. Somewhat similarly to Martin out of Cincinnati, I think Fofana is going to be a really good complementary piece or a glue guy at the next level. Good defender, good rebounder, can handle the ball, can shoot it a little bit, although the three-pointer is inconsistent right now. If we go back to the Blazers series last year, this is probably somebody I would have really coveted because I think he would have been a perfect fit for our squad. A guy who can defend a bunch of different positions, solid enough shooter, really good rebounder. I think he would have fit with those guys like Darius Springer and Khalil Griffin really well. Yendi Cambridge from California is up next. Now, he's a really fun player to watch. An explosive, dynamic, above-the-rim athlete. We see it there with the lob. The athleticism is certainly the calling card to his game, especially with his size. He's big, physical. He already is an NBA-level body as just a collegiate freshman, and he sees the floor pretty well. Now, the rest of this game has some work to do. He's not really a true wing because he's not a great perimeter defender. I think he's going to be more of a 4 at the next level, but he's a little bit of a tweener in that sense because he's only 6'8". It's not like he's got traditional power forward size. Roman Loggins-Burrell from Iowa State is a really fun player to watch. One of the most impressive athletes in this class. He's got great measurables, 6'5", 220 with a 7'2" wingspan. He really sees the game like a point guard, though. I think he's built like a wing, but he plays like a point. And I think his ability to play on the ball and play off the ball is really impressive. He's a great finisher around the rim. He's a solid enough outside shooter, and he's a really, really good perimeter defender. He's been a little inconsistent this year with the Cyclones, but I think given his size, length, and athletic pedigree, his ceiling might be one of the highest in this year's draft class. Taurus October from UCLA is one of the best defensive players in this class. Now, his offense has a lot of work to do, but I think he's going to be an all-defensive level guy very early on, if not immediately. as he joins the NBA. He's an impressive athlete as well. He can really play the 1 through the 3. I think he can guard 4s as well. But he's got a lot of work to do offensively, and I think the A- three-point grade is really generous. I would say his outside shot is more like a B to a B-, which isn't horrible. But I think 2K's given him a little bit extra there. As we look a little bit further down the board, I think Kobe Starling Jr. from USC is going to be one of the 10 best players in this draft, and a guy who really contributes to winning. Reminds me a lot of Devin Harbor last year out of Kansas, who was drafted by the Jazz. Hasn't really played a whole lot for Utah. But this sequence right here shows why I'm high on him. So he picks up the guard at half court, steals the ball, perfect lob. The dunker misses, but he's right there for the rebound, and he gets the layup in contact. 3-level scorer. He can put the ball in the net from everywhere on the floor. He's a pretty good playmaker, pretty good defender. There's not one area of this game that he really excels in, and I wouldn't say he's an elite athlete, which certainly limits his ceiling, but I think he's going to be really good right off the bat. For an 18-year-old, his game is very polished and well-rounded. Nova Coulson from Colorado is a fun player to watch. Smooth lefty stroke. I think he's got one of the higher ceilings out of all the guard prospects in this year's draft. Kind of the opposite of Kobe Starling, whereas I don't think Coulson's going to be as good as a rookie. I think his scoring is a little bit more inconsistent. The three-point shot's not really there yet, but I think he's a little bit more athletic. I think he's got a little bit higher of a ceiling defensively, and if you're looking for more of a gamble just in the fringe part of the lottery, I think Nova Coulson could be your guy because he's got a chance to be really something special. Top 3 recruit going into the year at Colorado. The consistency just hasn't really been there with his game. Arkansas big man Caden Howard is exactly what I would describe as a unicorn. 7'3", so obviously you got to imagine he can really block shots, but he can handle the ball, he can shoot the ball. Now, he's got a lot of work to do offensively. This is not going to be Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren, who scores 15, 20 points per game the second they step in the league. But Howard's got that type of theoretical upside, if you will, and of course the defensive intangibles are certainly there. Baptiste Biscande from France is the final player we're going to go over today. Really smooth, really slippery on offense going to the basket as a slasher. And I like what he provides as an outside shooter as well. Now, of course, we've seen a lot of really good French prospects over the last few years, including the last 3 number 1 picks with Victor Wembanyama, Zachary Rizache, and most recently Martin Sifa with the Jazz. That streak will come to an end this year, but I think Biscande will be the first French prospect off the board. I think he's going to go earlier than 14. He's going to be a top 10 pick given the season he's had this year and his skill set as a really talented two-way wing. Let's look at the mock drafts right now, and you'll notice a lot of the worst teams in the league don't have their picks. Most of these picks are very heavily protected, so the Jazz, for instance, they'll probably get their pick back. The Blazers at 2, they'll get theirs back. So don't really worry about the teams here per se, but more so the order of the players. All 3 of the mock drafts have Everest McLeon at number 1, and they all have Selen Novikov at number 2. The first surprise here is Biscande at number 3. I told you he's going to go a lot earlier than 14. I don't know about top 3, but I do like him quite a bit. Khalil Griffin II out of Tennessee goes to the Kings. I'm excited to introduce him to you guys in the next episode. And they have us picking Kobe Starling. I have no clue how he falls to 25. That would be a steal. A lot of other really good guards here. Tiger Tomlinson from Arkansas, 6'9", long wingspan. Kajai Stokes from Marquette, another guy who I really like. I think he's super underrated, and I'm excited to talk about him in the next episode. As 2K has Shavonte Fitzgerald out of Creighton going number 3 right now. I think this mock draft seems pretty realistic, maybe a little bit too realistic, because as we know, there's probably going to be some chaos. And this mock draft, again, has us picking another guard, Tiger Tomlinson from Arkansas, with Kobe Starling going 1 pick before. Is the league really not that high on Kobe Starling? Am I missing something? I think he's really good. As for NBA.com, same top 3, and then the order kind of shifts after that with guys like Kingsley, Loggins, Burrell, Howard, Cambridge, Coulson, all clustered up in that fringe top 10 range. This mock draft has us getting Jaden Graham, a guard from Ohio State. He's a little bit more raw than the other guards that they've mocked us, but clearly it seems like 2K thinks we're going to be looking to add another piece to the backcourt. So I'm going to simulate to this game against the Nuggets. Denver is currently in 2nd place in the Western Conference, and we've got them twice before the deadline. We're going to go 1 week at a time, though, because we have 4 sets of back-to-backs over the next 2 weeks. The schedule makers did us dirty. We got offered a trade here from the Mavericks. They want Miles Turner for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Look at Turner, 5 of 6 from 3 over the last 3 games, and I think we're going to say no to that. Jimmy Butler, left foot stress fracture. That's not good. He's going to be out for a little bit over a month, and it's unfortunate because Butler sort of quietly has had a really good season. His durability has always kind of been subpar, but he's played every single game this year up until the injury. He would have had an outside chance, but certainly a chance of making the All-Star team, so now that's not going to be the case. And with Kuminga out as well, we go from having 3 star players to 1. I don't want to put too much on Curry's plate, so that means the other shot creators, Podziemski and Silis, are going to be the 2 guys who really have to step up. Now, despite the injury, we ended up winning all 5 games of the last week or so, including a blowout against the Hornets. Great game from Jimmy, 23 for Silis, and then a bunch of close games against some good teams, including this matchup against the Lakers. First game without Jimmy, and we still end up winning. Miles Turner continuing to shoot the ball really well from deep. And ever since our embarrassing loss against the Jazz, we have won 8 in a row. Talk about responding. Now, we're still only in 5th, but look how close these teams are. We're tied for 3rd, and we're only a game out of 2nd place, while the Spurs are building their lead in 1st. So now we're going to simulate these next 3 games. That starts with the Jazz. There's no way we lose against them again, right? They haven't won since they beat us 3 weeks ago. You have got to be kidding me. They not only beat us, but they slaughtered us. So the Jazz have now won 2 games over the last 3 months, and both of them are against us. How? Given their shooting splits as a team, I genuinely believe this might be the worst team in NBA history, and they've beaten us twice within the last 3 weeks. Everybody shot the ball poorly. Miles Turner, 2 for 11 from 3. Antoine Silis, 2 for 11 from 3. Podziemski, 3 for 12 from the field. Buddy Hield, 1 for 8 from 3. Curry, 0 for 7 from 2. A hilariously bad offensive game, and the defense wasn't all that good either. You know what? I think I'm going to play this game against the Jazz. We clearly cannot beat these guys for whatever reason. I want to see them firsthand. But before that, we do get offered a trade here from Indiana. They want Podziemski and the Utah second rounder for Andrew Nembhard. If you remember, we've already been offered an interesting deal with Podziemski for Jared McCain. Doesn't really make much sense for the Sixers with how well McCain is playing. And even though Podziemski has gotten better throughout the month of January, he's played a bigger role and he's really improved for us. This still doesn't really make much sense for Indiana because Andrew Nembhard's been really good over the last couple of years. He's on a really team-friendly contract over the next few seasons. So I don't really see why Indiana would make this move, even though they've been disappointing. I understand wanting to shuffle the deck, but I don't think this would make a lot of sense for the Pacers, even though Nembhard, I would say, is pretty clearly a better player than Podziemski. So we beat the Kings, 31 for Steph, double-double for Miles Turner. Podziemski and Silis both played well. And that brings us to this game against the Jazz. We have won 8 of our last 10 games. We're playing really well. But our 2 losses are somehow against Utah. Lauri Markkanen has completely regressed to the mean. None of these young players are really developing. Keontae George hasn't taken a leap. Taylor Hendricks hasn't taken a leap. Cody Williams hasn't really taken a leap. Devin Harper, who they drafted in the middle of the first round, really isn't in the rotation. I don't get that at all. This team is 6-41. They've won 2 games over the last 3 months. Everybody on the team sucks. So why not play this ultra-talented rookie who throughout his collegiate career was described as somebody who really contributes to winning? Maybe Harper's really that bad. I don't know. He was a guy who I really wanted us to draft, but with him off the board, obviously we settled for Antoine Silis, and, well, clearly that has worked out for us given how good Silis has been. But regardless, we got to beat these guys. They are, again, maybe the worst team in the history of the NBA. We've lost to them twice over the last couple of weeks. There's no way we lose to them again, right? Even without Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga, we should still win this game because the Jazz have no star-level players. Lauri Markkanen has been abysmal this year, and we have Steph Curry. As Kyle Filipowski gets the scoring started for Utah. Curry with the crossover, he's trapped. Somebody's going to be open. It's Buddy Hield, and he connects on the triple. Buddy Hield isn't shooting as well as he did earlier in the year. Still shooting around 42% from 3, which is certainly a good clip. As he hits another one off the inbound pass. Good job by Buddy to get open. He's got 6 early, and it's 8-2. Martin Sifa, the number 1 pick, guarded by Pajemski, floats it up and in. We've seen most of the top picks this year. We played well against Mikko Kaponen. We played well against LV Mikhailovich. We got torched by Bardo Campolo. So I'm curious to see what Sifa, who was drafted ahead of all those guys, will be able to do as Curry's in for the and 1. 11-6. Curry with the ISO on Filipowski. Floater at the buzzer. It's good. That was an ugly possession that didn't really go to plan. But hey, 2 points are 2 points. Open 3 for Miles Turner is good. And he continues to shoot the 3 ball, dare I say, pretty well since coming back from his injury a few weeks ago. Certainly a positive revelation for us. 16-10. Pretty low-scoring first quarter as Sifa connects on the triple. Not a great outside shooter yet, but he can hit the open shot, averaging nearly 15 a game as Lauri Markkanen has it inside. Over to Martin Sifa with the slam, and so far the Frenchman has looked pretty good up to this point. Curry with it on the drive. He gets it in the corner for fellow Frenchman, Antoine Selis. Him and Sifa grew up together in the country of France, playing in tournaments against each other, with each other. They've got a lot of history now here in the NBA playing against each other, and they're both playing well in this game. Selis hits the jumper. Collier gets it to Lauri Markkanen. That's a mismatch with Buddy Hield, and he takes advantage, sending it off the glass. 21-17. Curry with it. Looks to drive. He gets it over to Selis. Gets by Keontae George, and the layup is good. 7 early points off the bench for Antoine Selis, and it's a 6-point lead with around 30 seconds to go in what has been an ugly first quarter as Filipowski gets the dunk. The Jazz offense has been about as bad as expected. They are horrific. But our offense really hasn't been that much better either. Curry has 9. He's been good. Antoine Selis has been good. He has 7. But if you take those two out of the picture along with Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, the rest of the team has 0. We'll see if that changes here. Pajemski to Curry at the buzzer. Bang! Curry off the screen for 3. He's got a dozen. 28-21 through the first quarter of football score. Even though we're up by 7, I can't say I'm very impressed. The offense really hasn't looked good. The defense has played well, I'll give them credit, but we are playing against quite literally the worst offense in the history of basketball. And they'll get the second quarter started with an early 3. It's Bryce Sensabaugh from beyond the arc, 28-26. They're only down by 2. Let's wake up, guys, as Pajemski misses the triple. Cody Williams with the rebound, and here comes Utah in for Isaiah Collier, who makes the layup. Collier is like the one guy on this roster who's actually improved from last year. Give him credit. He's having a nice second season out of USC. As Selis is in for the layup, he's got 9. Good to see him producing, even though most of the team has looked, again, dare I say, somewhat underwhelming. Filipowski to Collier with it in the corner. Guarded by Curry. Layup is good. It has been, again, a dreadful second quarter on offense. We're halfway through the second quarter, and it's 35-30. I think this game has set modern NBA offense back by, like, decades. As Lauri Markkanen hits the 3. 35-33. Curry with the screen. He will look to drive inside, and his reverse layup is good. Steph Curry's been really impressive. That's the crazy part. He has 14 points on really good shooting splits. It's just that the rest of the team's been so bad. As Martin Sifa connects on the triple. He's in the double figures here in the first half. We're only up by 1 against the worst team ever. Maybe they just match up really well with us. I don't know. As Steph Curry makes the layup, 39-36. Lauri Markkanen with it, guarded by Turner. Pump fake. He's got an open man. Sifa for 3 again, and it's good. An impressive first half for Martin Sifa. We're tied at 39. It's going to be a jump ball here with Markkanen and Hield under 2 minutes to go in the half, and neither team has 40 yet. Filipowski on the drive, layup, and the foul. This is not a drill, folks. The Utah Jazz are winning. He would miss the 3 throw, though. Remains a 2-point game. Curry in the corner. Buddy Hield looking for the hat trick, and it's good. Buddy Bucket's a perfect 3 for 3 from deep, but Utah regains the lead. 43-42. Here is Curry with it. Hands it off to the rookie, Antoine Selis. Layup is good. Nice move by Selis to guard the ball, essentially, while he was in midair to get a good look at the rim. 1-point game. Shot clock winding down. Here's George for the lead. It's good. Keontae George has shown the scoring flashes, but here in his third season, the consistency with his game is just not there. Salise's three rattles in and out, an unlucky bounce. Here comes the Jazz at the end of the quarter. It's stolen by Curry. Warriors looking for the lead. Curry's going to have to throw it up, and it is no good. And that'll wrap up the first half. Trayce Jackson-Davis actually got the putback there, but it was after the buzzer sounded. This first half was absolutely gross. Utah has 45 points. Their offense has been really bad, as expected. Yet they are winning. We scored 16 points in the second quarter. We only shot 42% from the field, which is a little bit more than the Jazz have shot throughout the year. So our abysmal offense throughout this game is basically what the Jazz have dealt with all year. That must suck. 33% from the field in the second, 1 for 6 from 3. Something's got to give here in the second half. Little pick and pop to get things started. It's Miles Turner from beyond the arc, his second three of the ball game. 48-45. Lauri Markkanen with it. His layup is no good, but he gets his own miss. Blocked by Turner. Gets his own miss again. And third time's the charm. The finisher living up to his name. 50-47. Hamidou Diallo minutes to Curry to Salise on the drive with the layup. And Antoine Salise continues his impressive second half, and we've called on him even more today with Brandon Podziemski really struggling. He's over from the field. As Salise is in for the throwdown. It's a stylish slam for the rookie, and it's a 5-point game. Taylor Hendricks with it on the drive. His layup is good, and much like Keontae George, the Jazz have not gotten the leaps from Hendricks they would have hoped for with him now being in his third season. George blocked at the rim by Gershon Yabusele. He had Sifa open in the corner, quickly moving the ball in transition. It's a Steph Curry three, and not passing it out there might have been a 6-point swing. This game could be tied. But now the Warriors are starting to go on a run. Another three for Curry doing the shimmy. He's got 24 points. Without Curry, I don't want to know where this team would be, given how bad pretty much everybody else has, with the exception of Antoine Salise. Him and Curry have combined for 41 of the Warriors' 62 points, but Salise is not done. He connects on the very long two. Not the most efficient shot to take out at the shot diet, but hey, it went in. Hendricks inside, blocked at the rim. It's Yabusele once again. Here comes Golden State in the corner. Salise on the drive with another slam, and look at the scoreboard. Now we're finally starting to figure things out. It took us 2.5 games to learn how to beat these guys, but we're up by 15 with around 4 to go in the third. Markkanen has it out to Sifa for three. He has shot the ball well from deep. Maybe not to the level that Bardo Campolo did earlier in the season against us, but Martin Sifa has been their best player this season. As Sensabaugh makes the layup, but it's a charge. Good job by Caleb Martin to set the feet. Remains a 14-point game with 2 to go in the third. Salise on the drive. Nice play. Rattles in. Shooter's touch. Antoine Salise has 25. That ties a career high, and we've still got another quarter plus to go. Salise for three. It's good! A career-high 28 for the rookie from France. It's a 19-point lead for Golden State late in the third quarter. Sensabaugh on the drive. That one is good. Nice play by the third-year pro out of the Ohio State University. Podziemski with it. 5 points. Still without a made field goal, though. He's 0 for 7. Looking to get somebody open. Trying to get it to possibly Antoine Salise. He's going to get the screen. Good look for three. At the end of the quarter, it is no good. But a great frame of hoops for the Warriors, who outscored the Jazz by 18 here in this third quarter. I think Utah scored 12 in that frame as Turner misses the layup to start the fourth. But Trayce Jackson-Davis is there with the rebound and the putback. It is a 20-point game. My biggest takeaway from that third quarter is, man, this Jazz team is depressing. Even on an off night for us, one of our worst games of the year, we're still up big. As Lonzo Ball hits the three for Utah. Here is Isaiah Collier with it, looking to find space. He connects on the triple. Okay, hold on. Maybe we do have ourselves a game. The lead is within 14. Podziemski with it. Gets the screen from Trayce Jackson-Davis. Open look for three. It's good, but we have an injury. Trayce Jackson-Davis clutching in pain, grabbing at his chest. The basketball gods saw Brandon Podziemski make one shot in this game, and they were like, no. you need to sacrifice somebody for payback. And unfortunately, it's the young big man, Trayce Jackson-Davis. Haywood Highsmith inside, no good. Turner with the rebound. He gets the putback. 12 and 13 today for Miles, as it's a 19-point game. Collier in the corner. Diallo tries to draw the foul. Doesn't work, but Collier has it stripped away by Miles Turner. In transition, Turner looks to take it himself. Backs down on Lonzo Ball. He's doubled. Curry hands it off for Yabusele. Back to Curry. Look at this matchup with Kyle Filipowski. This, my friends, is called barbecue chicken. And Curry is grilling it. Oh, it's blocked! Kyle Filipowski has other plans. And here comes the Jazz on the other end. Sends a ball with it. Gets the screen on the drive. Blocked by Turner, but they call a foul. I thought that was all ball. Some impressive defense from both teams. Salis back with it. Step back is good. 30 ball for Antoine Salis, as it's 87-69. Salis back with it. We got to keep feeding him the ball because he is not missing. Sidestep, contested three over Keontae George. The Jazz would go on a 7-0 run, though, as Markkanen has it inside. Guarded by Buddy Hield. Making all sorts of moves. He gets the layup, draws the foul. It's an and one. I thought this game was over. The Warriors were up by 21 like a minute ago. But the Jazz go on a 10-0 run, only down by 11. This game might not be over. Unless they're going to leave Steph Curry that wide open. He hits the three, 93-79. Warriors looking to put a bow on this one as Lauri Markkanen answers with a three right back. He says, what you can do, I can do better. 93-82. Jazz have a chance to bring it within 10. George inside. Markkanen. Layup is good. Salis tries to draw the charge. Ultimately unsuccessful. There's no call either way. 9-point game. Curry guarded by Filipowski. Again, barbecue chicken. And Curry's not going to get snuffed twice. He makes the layup. It's an 11-point game. Utah hoping for a miracle. I'd feel a little bit better about their chances if they didn't have a collection of the worst offensive players in the league. As Sifa has it inside. And yeah, that play is basically a microcosm of the entire Jazz season. On the other end, it's Miles Turner with it. He gets it to Curry on the screen. Curry on the drive. That one is blocked at the rim. Martin Sifa has extremely long arms. He's got a very long wingspan, showing it there on the other end. Filipowski with it. Layup is good. Lead is back within 9. Golden State has to call a timeout. Everybody on the floor is gassed. I was hoping in the fourth quarter that we'd be able to play the backups. As Buddy Hield hits the three, a huge shot for the Warriors. Hield is still perfect. He has shot the ball 4 times today, and he's 4 for 4 from deep. But Markkanen gets another one right back. Lauri Markkanen is turning back the clock in this fourth quarter. He's hot. 9-point game. Around a minute to go. Salis on the drive. Layup is good. Nobody was inside to defend him. It's an 11-point lead for the Warriors. Sifa, jumper, no good. Salis with the rebound, his 6th. That's also a career high, by the way. He gets it to Curry. On the drive, gets by Sifa. Layup is good, and I think that's officially the dagger. 103-89 your final. The Warriors finally get past the boogeyman and beat the Jazz. It took us 3 tries to beat the worst team in NBA history. But hey, better late than never. Now, we again did not play well in this game, really at all. This game never should have been close. The Jazz were horrific, and we didn't have that good of a performance. Now, I will say Antoine Salis was awesome. Curry was awesome. Buddy Hield was awesome. Miles Turner was really good. But the rest of the team had 12 points on inefficient shooting. Lauri Markkanen had a terrific fourth quarter. Really good game overall. Martin Sifa, 4 for 4 from deep. Then we get to these guys. Collier, 3 for 12. George, 2 for 13. There's a reason why this offense has really struggled this year. They've got guys who can really shoot them out of games. And the problem for Utah is that it's basically everybody on the roster. So I think this is actually where we're going to end the episode. I think next time we'll go through these Denver matchups. But first, we've got to talk about Trayce Jackson-Davis, who suffered a collapsed lung. And that's pretty scary. He'll be out most likely through the All-Star break. And with Adembona already injured, we're certainly lacking in terms of depth bigs. So Gershon Yabusele is going to have to move to the bench because we need somebody who can run the 5. And then Caleb Martin will play the 4 in his place. We were really lucky earlier in the year with injuries, and now we are not. And as you can see, it caught up to us here against Denver. as we lose by 37. Jokic with a 35-point triple-double. The Nuggets shot over 50% from three. I really can't say I'm surprised. Our guys were gassed after the game against Utah. I was expecting to get throttled by the Nuggets, and that ended up being the case. Next time around, we've got the trade deadline and a really hard schedule going into the All-Star break with the Nuggets, the Spurs, and the Celtics. Let me know what you guys think we should do down below in the deadline. Should be a fun one. And let me know what you thought of the prospects we went over in today's prospect profiles. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. Peace out.